minutes, if you allow me. I think the big idea I want you to take away when it comes to looking at the content for this week was the chapter. Once we go to chapter 12 and 13, the big idea here is the challenge for auditors. Like, how can auditors, or well, really fraud investigators, how can they investigate something that is not disclosed? In other words, chapter 12 and 13 is all about non-disclosure fraud. It's all about hiding liabilities. So if you don't register a liability, then how is a fraud investigator going to find that what you don't register? If you register an asset, I can check. You register inventory, I can check. I can check cash. I can even check accounts receivable. In chapter 11, debit accounts receivable credit sales is the best fraud ever, because you can bury your fraudulent accounts receivable in hundreds of other accounts receivable. You make up one, you just put it in there, and the auditor won't find it. But fraud investigators, they cannot see a liability that you have buried. They cannot see stuff you should have disclosed that you didn't. And so you need to look at indirectly for other evidence around, and you need to reach out to who the customers are to find out if there are contingent liabilities associated with transactions with customers. Are there contingent liabilities associated with transactions with the sale of motor vehicles, the warranties that you have with that, and so forth? So you've got to go outside of the organization to try and find these non-disclosure frauds, because the managements are intent of just not telling the full picture. And if you cannot find it, it's going to be hard to find it in the organization if management don't want it to be found. And so you got to go outside, talk to customers, talk to suppliers, have a look at how big are the sales, and then how big does the factory look? Does the factory match the sales? And so you've got to do all of these comparisons, and maybe comparison of ratios with competitors. And so you sort of got to look outside the organization. And that's the real gist and of what chapter 12 and chapter 13 is all about. And there's so many ratios they do talk about and things like that. But a lot of those ratios are comparing maybe the company's ratio with a competitor's ratio. And so you've got to look for external benchmarks to find stuff that management don't want you to find. There you go. That's my quick summary for this week. Just to remind you that next week, I think it would be our last week of presentations. You've done very well so far. Thank you to Stephen's team, Hadjuf, Mansa, and Stephen. Thank you. And thank you to the Audit Adventures, and thank you, Thomas, for your great efforts today. All did very, very well. Very happy with your PowerPoint slides too. So good work. And I'll catch you next Tuesday.
Later, sir.
Thanks, Neil.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.